What's up, my friends? Welcome to Casa de McNeese. We have some kind of stand-in friends for us today since can't be at school with you guys. But they're pretty excited and hope you're excited too. So remember last week when we talked about this guy? Yeah, remember Peter Tchaikovsky had that funny sounding name because he didn't live in America like we do. He lived all the way on the other side of the world in Russia. Do you remember what we talked about with him last week, other than he had a funny sounding name? Hmm. That's right. Mr. Tchaikovsky wrote The Nutcracker, which is a famous ballet that we see every Christmas time because it takes place on Christmas Eve. So we know that he was really good at creating ballets and was really good at making music that made you think about your emotions and how you were feeling, and he was really good at that. Now, the other ballet that he wrote that was also really famous was actually called Swan Lake. So today we have a fun story about a friend that goes to try to be a part of Swan Lake, but it's not the kind of friend that you might think. It's actually a T-Rex. Now, we know Miss McNeese likes dinosaurs, so any book that's got dinosaurs and music stuff in it is pretty exciting. So let's see what happens to T-Rex at Swan Lake. It was written by Lisa Carrier and Lenore Hart, and the pictures are illustrated by Chris Demarest. T-Rex was bored. For 99 years, not much had changed in the dinosaur hall at the Natural History Museum. That's in Washington, D.C. Usually she enjoyed being the center of attention. People stared at her and gasped. She even had her own guard, who stood proudly at attention, keeping people from getting too close. Sometimes when no one else was around, he told her about his day. T-Rex always listened politely. T-Rex knew she impressed museum visitors, but being a star wasn't always enough. She missed the old days millions of years ago when she ran free. It had been a happy time of leaping in green meadows and tiptoeing through clear streams, bending to drink the fresh, cool water. Remember, the old life made it difficult for her to enjoy the admiring crowds. She lived a long, long time ago, so she kind of misses being a part of that world. One afternoon, two ladies came into the hall and stopped in front of her. They were talking about something called the ballet. T-Rex tilted her head to listen. Remember, a ballet is when you have the performers that have trained for a long, long time get up on the stage. They wear their fancy, beautiful costumes, and they perform their different routines that they do. And a lot of times they use live music, like orchestras, for the music work. Swan Lake is on tonight, 2 blocks down at the Opera House. It's my absolute favorite, said the woman in green. I love to watch the ballerinas twirl and spring across the stage. Remember last week when we watched part of the Nutcracker and you got to see the ballerinas do that? They have to do the same kind of stuff in Swan Lake as well. The Swan Princess leads them like this. The green woman stood on tiptoe. T-Rex tried to rise up on her toes too, but she had forgotten that her feet were bolted to the floor. Uh-oh. Of course there's a handsome prince, the woman added, but that nasty villain makes me shiver. No problem, thought T-Rex. I could take care of him with one bite. So T-Rex has decided she needs to be a ballerina, and she will go save the princess from the evil villain. Think she's going to make it there? Let's see. Ballet sounds exactly like what I've been missing all these years. I've got to try it, T-Rex decided. Right now. There was a small problem of her bolted toes, but she flexed her powerful knees and with 2 great yanks pulled her aching feet loose from the platform. goodness, that was easy, she thought, and lumbered towards the exit. Crowds of shouting visitors scattered like flocks of noisy prehistoric chickens. Stop, called her guard. You can't leave. I don't think she's listening. Kind of looks like she is going right wherever she wants to, doesn't she, friends? Wonder where T-Rex is gonna go first. Outside, T-Rex paused for a moment, dazzled by her first glimpse of sunlight in 99 years. That's a long time. She took in a deep breath of fresh air and then clattered down the road. But on the street, there was more screaming and yelling. Stop! Shouted a police officer, waving his arms. You can't be out here. Sorry, Santa Claus. Oh, but I am, T-Rex said, holding up one of her newly freed feet. Isn't it wonderful? It was nothing like the old days, though. The ground was teeming with people in all shapes and sizes, running in all directions. I hope it will be more peaceful at the Opera House, T-Rex thought. They're definitely not used to seeing a dinosaur running around town, that's for sure. She squeezed through the back door of the Opera House. It was more peaceful here. Dark, cool, quiet as a cave. Where are all the people? T-Rex wondered. She climbed the backstage ladder to get a better view. She carefully tiptoed across the catwalk. The only sound was her joints clickety-clacketing against metal rungs. She dunked under snarls and loops of cables that reminded her of lovely hanging vines from her past. Since the other ballerinas hadn't arrived yet, she decided to curl up for a little nap. She dreamed of the old days. She's getting a good little sleep. Then T-Rex heard the faint sounds of music. She lifted her head. The orchestra was tuning up. On the stage, dancers posed and stretched. Stagehands rushed about, putting scenery in place. T-Rex's eye sockets grew wide with astonishment. It's even better than I imagined. She clapped her claws as ballerinas twirled like fish caught in a current. Spectacular! Tremendous! It made her very hungry, though. Uh-oh. T-Rex was so enthralled that she nearly forgot that she had come to dance. But the ballerinas were all so fancy and she looked so plain. She needed a costume. When T-Rex squeezed into the wardrobe room, the costume mistress took one look and fainted dead away. Uh-oh. So T-Rex had to help herself, and all of the costumes were so tiny. She finally managed to squeeze her hip bones into an extra large stretchy tutu. No problem, she decided. I'll just hold my breath until the show's over. Once she was dressed, she couldn't wait. In her old life, she'd always enjoyed making a dramatic entrance, so she vaulted up the backstage ladder in 4 big steps, grabbed one of the hanging vines, and swooped like a flying pterodactyl down to the stage. Oh, she certainly knows how to make an entrance. Unfortunately, she overshot a bit. Oops, cried T-Rex as she slammed into a man's waving a stick. Remember, that's the conductor. He's in charge of the orchestra. They might need him. It was the conductor. Oh dear, so sorry. The music stopped. The opera house was silent. How do you think everyone's feeling right now? Think maybe they're just a little scared about what's going on? I would probably be like that too. No, this won't do, T-Rex scolded. The show must go on. She picked up the conductor's baton and waved it as he had done. A clarinet player gasped. A violinist ran away screaming. The other musicians all looked very nervous, but at last they started playing again. So, T-Rex is going to try to be the conductor to lead the group of musicians. How do you think that's going to work for him? T-Rex gently lifted the conductor back onto his podium. I'm sorry, terribly clumsy of me. She smiled apologetically. Love your outfit. The trembling conductor stared at her teeth. He gulped as T-Rex handed him his baton. Thank you, he squeaked. Oh, it was nothing, she said modestly. Keep up the good work. At least T-Rex has some nice manners, right? Now for my debut, T-Rex decided. Let's start with some easy spins and a twirl or two. She raised her arms, rose up her toes, and then she turned and leaped and whirled, pretending she was back in the meadow. The cool breeze on her face, the soft grass beneath her claws. She whipped her tail joyfully. But she didn't really mean to knock anyone off the stage. Oh dear, so sorry, she called over her shoulder. The ballerina has been whipped into the drum. All because T-Rex used her tail. Oopsie. Then she saw a man in white tights watching from the wings. Hello, dog. Ah, the prince, she thought, and spun even faster to impress him. But as she finished her final pirouette, T-Rex noticed that another man had come onto the stage. I wonder who it's going to be. She thought, this must be the bad guy. We had the lady in green called him, oh yes, the villain. She didn't much care for the way he was scowling at her as if she didn't belong there. She's not very happy with the villain, is she? What do you think she's going to do? Let's see. So she did what came naturally, and it felt good. The other ballerinas shrieked and ran away, their fluffy tutus flapping gracefully. So it looks like she sent the little villain on his way. You see him flying through the air over there? I don't think he was supposed to do that. Then T-Rex performed 32 perfect pirouettes, 16 dainty cat steps, and one tremendous leap across the stage. For her grand finale, she balanced on one toe claw, her knee joints clattering like pebbles in a blender. It was all too perfect for words. In fact, it was even better than the old days. Instead of staring at her with fear or running away in terror, as her prey always had, the audience cheered and broke into wild applause. They love me, she thought. So she is so excited that she has put on this beautiful performance. Satisfied at last, T-Rex fell back into the arms of her partner. But it wasn't the prince. He had fainted in the wings. She saw that her partner was her very own guard from the museum. I was so worried, said her guard as he gently helped her up. I've been looking for you everywhere. T-Rex was so glad to see him. More than anyone else, he had wanted to watch her wonderful dance. After a standing ovation, that means that everybody in the audience was so excited that they, instead of staying in their seats to clap, they stand up and they cheer and they're really excited. 5 curtain calls and 3 dozen roses, the guard said it was time to go. T-Rex didn't mind. It hadn't been a very tiring evening, so he escorted her back to her spot at the museum. There she stands to this day, admired by many visitors, and on long afternoons she and her guard talk about her wonderful ballet debut. And every night, after all the people have gone home and the museum doors are locked, she remembers that great performance. T-Rex is sure that one day she will return to the stage. After all, Christmas is coming, and she knows what that means. What do we think they're going to perform now that it's Christmas time, friends? Do you remember? What was the name of the ballet? The Nutcracker! The annual performance of the Nutcracker. T-Rex knows she'll be perfect as the sugar plum fairy. The end. So T-Rex decided that she didn't just want to have to stand there all the time. She wanted to get out and make a name for herself, didn't she? She wanted people to love her performance. So she definitely went out with a bang, didn't she? Um, I think it'd be interesting to go see T-Rex as a ballerina, don't you think? So, what do you think? Do you think you would enjoy the Nutcracker more or the beautiful Swan Lake T-Rex more? I don't know. Be interesting to see what you think. Bye, guys.